Yes, the entire meeting got disconnected because of some reason. Don't know what. Hanji.
Excuse me, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. So I was
Okay.
telling you about Jyotirao Rao Phule, right? You can see his impression in various fields, right, where he has worked very well, very hard, right? His influence could be seen there. He is most known for his effort to educate women and the lower caste as well as Bahujan people, right? Could you tell me who are Bahujan people? Who are Bahujan people?
Ma'am, lower caste people.
The lower caste people, right? So he has worked for them as well. And since they were in 1873, right, after educating his wife, he opened the first school for girls in India in August 1848. And in 1873, he wrote a book named Gulamgiri Jyotiba, opposed the Brahmins, right? The Brahmins opposed here, claiming that they were superior to others since they were Aryans. Fulle argued that Aryans were foreigners who came from outside to the subcontinent and defeated and subjugated the true children of the country, right? कह रहे Aryans जो थे वो truly इंडिया को belong नहीं करते, वो तो खुद बाहर से आकर उन्होंने हमारे लोगों पे रूल किया था, right? And hmm, and those who had lived here for coming had lived here before coming to Dharan, उन सबको उन्होंने subjugate किया था. According to Fulle, the upper caste had no right to their land and power. In reality, the land belonged to the indigenous people, the so-called natives or the so-called lower caste. Indigenous का मतलब क्या हुआ बेटा? What is the meaning of indigenous people? Indigenous people means
Ma'am, low caste people.
the people, the natives, the real people of India, the people born and brought up in India, right? Fully claimed that before the Aryan rule, there existed a golden age where warrior peasants tilled the land and ruled the Maratha countryside in a fair ways. वो कहता था कि पहले जब Aryans के आने से पहले we all lived in equality. There was no discrimination. There was no caste system. Okay, he proposed that Shudras, the laboring caste, and the Ati Shudras, the untouchables, should unite to challenge the caste discrimination. का मतलब है इन दोनों को मिल के जो भी caste discrimination होती है उसके खिलाफ आवाज उठानी चाहिए. The book Ghulam Giri was dedicated to all those Americans who had fought to end slavery. जितने भी Americans ने slavery को खत्म करने के लिए fight की थी, this book was devoted to them, right? Thus, establishing a link between the conditions of the lower caste in India with that of the black slaves in America. Right? And as this example shows, fully extended his criticism of the caste system. He has criticized the caste system and to argue against the forms of inequality. He said that inequality is bad not in one but in many ways. क्या कर रहे हो गौरव? अवतार सेट हो गया बेटा आपका? नहीं हो पा रहा है?
Yes, ma'am.
आपका अवतार सेट नहीं हो पा रहा है?
नहीं मैम मैं कर ही नहीं रहा हूँ मैं तो बस
फिर
सुन
क्या
रहा हूँ
कर
आपकी
रहे हो?
बात.
What are you doing?
Ma'am, nothing. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
listening you.
Right? So, as this example shows, fully extended his criticism of the caste system to argue against all forms of inequality. उन्होंने caste system को तो एक point out किया ही गया था, but he was against all forms of inequality, चाहे वो किसी भी तरीके से हो. He was concerned about the plight of the upper caste women and the miseries of the laborer and the humiliation of the low caste. उसे पता था कि जो upper caste women है, they are also being suffered, they are also being discriminated in some way or the other, right? And he has also argued that no form of inequality should be accepted or just allowed. Fine. Tell me, who is called as the father of Indian Renaissance? Tell me, kids, who is known as the father?
Ma'am, can you repeat your question?
Who is called the father of Indian Renaissance?
Ma'am, father of.
Indian Renaissance.
Ma'am, Raja Ram.
Correct. Very good, Hardik. The answer is Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who founded Pratna Samaj.
Ma'am, Mahadev Govind Ranada and R.D. Bhadankar.
मैम आत्माराम पंडुरंग.
Ma'am, R.G. Bhadankar and Mahadev Govind Ranada.
आत्मन पंडरांग होना चाहिए, इतना सारा नाम थोड़ी आएंगे. The founder of Pratna Samaj was Atmaram.
मैम आत्माराम पद्मांगन.
Next is, who said back to Vedas?
Ma'am, Swami Dayanand.
Correct. Next is, who was
मैम
Virsa,
स्वामी दयानंद.
who was Virsalingam? Who was Virsalingam?
Ma'am, social reformer.
Yes, but where was he from? ये सब भी तो बताना चाहिए ना.
Ma'am, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan.
What? Proper answer
Ma'am,
क्या
he
है?
was a social reformer from Andhra Pradesh.
Okay, and what did he do?
Ma'am, he started social organization called Hita Karni.
ठीक है. Who wrote Ghulamgiri?
ज्योतिबा फुले.
Ma'am, Jyotiba Phule.
Okay. Name any two social reformers who worked for the upliftment of the depressed classes.
महात्मा गांधी जी और महात्मा ज्योतिबा फुले.
Phule.
Correct.
Jyotiba Phule.
Okay. ठीक है. Next, if we talk about Mahatma Gandhi, and he is also one of those people who were very much against the system of untouchability. When Gandhiji assumed India's leadership, the average lifespan of an Indian woman was only 27 years. Right? उस टाइम पे जो इंडियन वुमेन की एवरेज एज थी वो कितनी होती थी? What was the
27
average?
years.
हाँ जी.
27 years.
Ma'am, 27 years.
Right, 27 years. Babies and the pregnant women ran a high risk of dying young. Right, child marriage was very common in the and widows were in a very large number. Right, child marriage बहुत होती थी, widows बहुत ज़्यादा थी, and because they used to get married so early, they used to get pregnant early, and because of which they get critical health issues, and a lot of babies and mothers have died in the process. Only 2% of women had any kind of education, and women did not have an identity of their own. In North India, they practiced the Parda system. Women could not go out of the house unless accompanied by men and the face covered with the clothes. अगर ये सब चीजें नहीं थी, so they were not allowed to leave the house. Gandhiji claimed that a woman is completely equal to a man. Thousands and millions of women, educated and illiterate housewives in India's freedom movement, they have all have joined India's freedom movement, right? Because of Gandhiji only. Hmm. Like not only the housewives and widows, even the students and elderly have also participated. Okay. For Gandhi, the freedom fight was not political alone, it was also an economic and social reform of the national proportion. Okay. Now let's talk about women and progress. Ashfa, read Ashfa.
Gandhiji always advocated a complete reform, which he called Sarvodaya, meaning comprehensive progress. He believed that the difference between men and women was only physical and expressed several times in his writings that in many matters, especially those of tolerance, patience, and sacrifice, the Indian woman is superior to the male. He wrote about women in Young India and Harijan. Gandhiji declared that there is no school better than home and there is no teacher better than mother. He said, he said men and women are equal but not identical. Intellectually, mentally, and spiritually, women is equivalent to a male, and she can participate in every activity. He wanted women to outgrow the traditional responsibilities and participate in the affairs of nation. He criticized Indians' passion for male child. He said that as long as we don't consider girls as natural as our boys, our nation will be in a dark eclipse. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Dr. Bhim, Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar was an Indian jurist, scholar, Bahujan political leader, and a Buddhist re- revi- revivalist.
Okay, right. So now when we talk about women in progress, Gandhiji had always said, right, that a complex reform which he called Sarvodaya, which means comprehensive progress. He believed that difference between men and women was only physical and could be expressed several times in his writings that in many matters, especially those of tolerance, patience, and sacrifice, all these things are more in women as compared to men, right? Then the Indian women is superior to the male. He wrote about the women in Young India and Hudson. Young India was one which was very widely circulated in Northern India as well. Okay, so Kanji declared that there's no school better than a home. He said, and women than a mother, right? No school is that there is no school is better than home. There is no teacher better than a mother. And he said that men and women are equal but not identical, right? Equal them are identical नहीं है. Technically, मतलब intellectually, mentally, and spiritually, women is equivalent to a male, and she can participate in every activity. Okay, he yeah. He wanted women to outgrow the traditional responsibilities as जो women है वो अपनी basic traditional responsibilities से बाहर निकले and they should see the world and do something out of the blue, do something new. He criticized Indians' passion for male child, that how deliberately people just wait to get a male child and they do not celebrate the female child welcoming only. He said that as long as we don't consider girls as natural as our boys, our nation will be in a dark place.
Thank you, ma'am.
ठीक है चलो. Then he said if we don't consider it, like it will be in a dark eclipse, like ग्रहण type का रहेगा हमारे ऊपर. Now let's talk about Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar. Samriddhi read. Samriddhi, could you hear me? Samriddhi.